You used to know just how smart, talented, and full of potential you were, and you had ambitions for your career. But then something happened, and you didn't just start doubting yourself. You started to believe that you're not good enough, and your career started stalling. Why does this happen? And how can you get back to feeling confident at work again? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. If you're ready for it, tap the like button, let's raise those positive vibes and jump right into it. To begin, you need to understand the internal mechanisms at play, psychologically speaking. First, I'd like to introduce you to the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect explains the overinflated sense of confidence that one has when they first start learning a little bit about something, only for that confidence to crash when they start learning more and know enough to know how much they don't know. Until eventually you have so much knowledge that your confidence begins to rise again. If these dynamics sound familiar, it's probably because you've seen them in real life every single day. It's why Slacker Chad has no idea what he's doing, but he's confident AF. Meanwhile, you know that you're not unknowledgeable, but you doubt yourself or wonder if you're capable enough or good enough, or you feel like an imposter. Cause yep, that dip right there is where imposter syndrome loves to strike. Of course, this isn't something that's just happening within you. There are a lot of external factors that come into play, and you're dealing with some of them or all of them. For example, if you're not feeling confident or you're feeling like an imposter, if you have a micromanaging toxic boss that comes along and starts criticizing everything that you do and every decision that you make and questions your ability to succeed, you're not going to feel very good about yourself. Of course, these external inputs can also create this feeling of not being good enough. And I know that this is something that a lot of you are dealing with because you've been in a bad or a toxic work environment, or you're working with a toxic boss. And when you're dealing with criticism, even unfair criticism, day in and day out, being told that you're not good enough, and having your perceived flaws nitpicked by a bad boss, or having everything blamed on you by a narcissistic manager, it starts to get to you. I don't care how confident someone thinks they are. We all have things that we're not 100% secure and even sometimes doubt ourselves about. And when we pair that with a cognitive bias called confirmation bias, and especially when we're in negative environments that are prolific with this criticism, like a toxic work environment, we begin to internalize it. No one is impervious to being impacted by those external voices. Even if you catch the most confident and strongest person on a bad day, those things are going to get to them. Have enough of those days and a persistent negative work environment, and it's going to catch up with anyone. One of the worst parts about enduring a toxic boss or a negative work environment is that most people who escape really struggle to see their achievements, their accomplishments, and all of the ways that they are awesome. Because when you're surrounded by it, it's impossible to not be infected by the negative mindset. If the focus is constantly on what went wrong, what you did wrong, the things that you can't do, and the ways that you're not good enough, that's the only thing that your brain is looking for, instead of rewarding the things that you did well, the saves that you made in those bad situations, and everything that you bring to the table. Which leads us to the important question: how can you recover when you feel like you suck or you're not good enough? The first step is really crucial, and it's also one that a lot of people struggle to do. Stop looking outside yourself. Every day I see people all over the social medias posting for likes, trying in vain to get validation from their boss, or otherwise looking to others to make themselves feel good about themselves. Even though those things can work for a minute, they're not going to last. Why? Because the likes, comments, and praise are dopamine hits. They feel good for a minute, but then the dopamine is going to dissipate, and you're right back where you started and chasing your next dopamine hit. Similarly, if you're criticizing others, bad-mouthing your boss, gossiping about your coworkers, or just going for a good old-fashioned trolling on the internet, those activities also release dopamine and are going to have a similar and short-lived effect. It'll feel good for a minute, but it's not going to solve any of your problems. And in those cases, it might create some new ones. So what do you do instead? Well, you go inwards. In my opinion, steady confidence and self-worth is an inside job. This is why I talk to you guys all the time about your unique awesomeness quotient, your UAQ. Knowing your UAQ and bringing those things into awareness is the starting point. And that's why I offer you the UAQ starter kit for free. And I know know that when you're in this place where you don't feel like you're good enough, or you feel like you're really lacking in confidence, especially confidence at work, it can be really hard to even start on uncovering what your UAQ is. And this is something that especially my clients that are coming out of a toxic work environment have had a hard time writing down that first thing that they're really good at, or the thing that they achieved, just because it hasn't been something that they have even paid attention to in a really long time. The more that you're able to document your capabilities, your achievements, the reasons why you are really so awesome, the easier it's gonna get as you get that ball rolling. The things that you write down do not need to be earth-shattering. Maybe the first thing that you think about is how much you care about other people, or how committed you are to your ongoing learning and growth, which is exactly why you're here, because you're committed to your learning and growth. Once you write down a couple of things, more and more are going to start coming. The ball will roll and it will be easier. And each awesome thing that you write down about yourself, from an achievement to an attribute that you have, is giving your brain evidence about how awesome you are. Next, we need to unpack what happened and take a look at it objectively. Your toxic boss talked all kinds of but you know that they're toxic, secure, and unhappy. So how valid are the things that they said about you? The thing about the beliefs that we form through our experience is they're not facts, even if they feel like they are. There's another cognitive bias that is coming into play here. It's called negativity bias. And it's the reason why criticism sticks so much more than any positive compliment that someone can give you. So when a toxic work environment has made you doubt yourself and your awesomeness, it's valid for you to examine that belief and ask, is it true? And if it's not true, what's the real story? For so many people, the real story is they did their absolute best to help their team, to do their job, and to help their company succeed. And when they really analyzed the criticism that they were getting, they realized that it had little to nothing to do with them. Now, as valuable as I think it is to go inward and to do these things on your own, I also think that there is an immense benefit through getting support. Therapy is awesome. Talking to friends who understand or have been through it before, or joining something like my Toxic Job Detox program that is really designed to rebuild career confidence and career trajectory. But also remember that recovering your self-worth, especially after a negative toxic work experience, can take time. And this is where I personally think confidence boosters really play a big role. Because when we're creating these moments of confidence for ourselves, not only do we benefit from the confidence that we have in that moment, it's also giving our brains evidence of our awesomeness, potential, and worthiness. And that can help to rewrite the limiting beliefs that were created in that bad job. There are 7 instant confidence boosters that are both super simple and extremely effective. And they come in real handy in key moments like job interviews or a meeting with your new boss. In fact, I want you to go and watch this video right now to find out exactly what they are so you can start putting them to use. But before you go, if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you, give it a like, really helps my channel, makes you my favorite career bestie. It's a win-win situation. And while you're there, consider subscribing if you haven't already. As always, my friend, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.